Welcome to Consented, a podcast series by Usercentrics, where we talk to our most trusted partners about all things data privacy, digital marketing, SaaS, and of course, the thing that ties it all together, partnerships. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Welcome to episode 5 of Consented, where we are going to talk about why affiliate marketing is essential for your B2B marketing strategy. This comes at a really exciting time as we are launching our own affiliate marketing program at Usercentrics. So on the podcast today, we have two really great speakers. And firstly, might I add, it's so nice to have a speaker right next to me in the studio, which we don't normally have. We're normally all remote. So I guess I'll start with Paulo Santos, who is a partnerships and affiliate marketing consultant who is actually working with us at Usercentrics. So welcome, Paulo. Great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you, Bethany. And nice to be here today. Thanks everyone for joining.
Yeah. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit to the audience and give a bit of background of the affiliate marketing experience that you have?
Sure, for sure. So as Bethany mentioned, I'm a partnerships and affiliate marketing consultant, currently working with Usercentrics. But my background is mostly across partnerships and affiliate marketing in general, within the B2B SaaS space, supporting brands and clients, not only designing, launching, and scaling partnership programs. That's kind of like my background.
Cool. Thanks, Paulo. And then also on the podcast today, we have Florian Gramshammer, who is the Managing Director of Impact for EMEA. Florian, welcome.
Thanks, Bethany. I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, so great to have you here. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit and give a bit of background to our listeners?
Of course. So my name is Florian Gramshammer. I'm Managing Director for EMEA at Impact.com. I first worked in affiliate marketing back in 2007. So I'm going on 17 years in this industry. Back then I worked for one of the very large international networks for 7 years. I also have experience in programmatic and generally in online advertising. And for the last 6 years, I've been responsible for Impact.com's EMEA region, where I run our sales, marketing, and customer success organizations.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so should we start with the basics? What does affiliate marketing or affiliate partnerships mean to you both? Who wants to start?
Go ahead, Florian. Yeah. No, for me, I always like to bring up this analogy of how I look into, affiliate marketing and partnerships nowadays. As I look at affiliates as a big tree, right? That big tree encompass, a lot of types of partners and a lot of types of partnerships that at the end of the line, they will most likely be driving certain results for a brand. So first of all, this big tree that is affiliates can encompass, nowadays influencers, creators, agencies, startup communities, VC incubators, content reviews, and then you have, traditional, more people may relate more, kind of like review sites, cashback, loyalty. So there's a multitude of partners that fit into what an affiliate is, and they will, to some extent, do drive certain impact for a brand. Some of these partners may be driving more activities on top of the funnel, and some of the partners will be more driving activities more towards the bottom of the funnel. So they will, some of them will play more important role in terms of awareness. Others will in terms of engagement, others in terms of actually closing deals for these brands. But that's kind of like how I look into the heterogeneity of what an affiliate program and affiliate marketing is nowadays, and the strategy that this represents to a brand.
Great. It would be really easy to repeat what you just said, but I think maybe I'll approach it from a slightly different viewpoint. So I think affiliate marketing partnerships, they happen when companies align themselves with other businesses or individuals who have a trusted first party relationship with the customer they are trying to acquire. Yep. What they then do is they establish an alliance whereby those partners natively refer customers. these partnerships, like you say, they're happening today with influencers. They're happening with traditional media publishers. There are native software integration partnerships. There are partnerships with apps. There are business-to-business partnerships, channel partnerships, alliances, and there's, of course, like you say, there's the traditional affiliate partnerships. Ultimately, I think the objective for companies to embark on an affiliate program strategy is typically because they're looking to acquire customers. I think like the partnership approach to acquiring those customers is what makes it a really effective channel to acquire them in a way that is happening in a very authentic way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and adding to that, just keep in mind, like these partners will give access to either gated or ungated audiences that overlap with the brand's ICP and the product. So that's kind of like the whole purpose of that, which otherwise you would be able to reach to those specific audiences.
Exactly.
Yes. And interestingly, you guys gave a lot of various different examples of different types of affiliates. And I would like to kind of take the audience back to when you started working in the affiliate landscape. What did that look like? Was it still like that then, or were there fewer types of affiliates? So what kind of businesses were using affiliate marketing sort of in the beginning? And what has changed until now?
Sure. So I would say it's same, but different. I think affiliate marketing, for as long as I've been in it, has always been used by large organizations. So typical, like classic examples of that are Amazon, Booking.com, eBay have always run partnership programs and affiliate programs, of course, alongside many other companies. What has changed on the advertiser side a little bit is back when I first started, it was primarily B2C companies that used affiliate marketing as an acquisition channel. That has changed over the last 17 years that I've been in this, and is now much more common for B2C companies also to engage in this and see it as a very successful and effective acquisition channel. On the other side, the publisher landscape has also changed, although the core tenet of performance-based relationships is still the same. The type of publishers that are available through the partnerships channel is probably what has changed and always continues to change. What is really interesting, I think, when it comes to the partner landscape is that from the first day I've been in this industry, it has always been full of very innovative companies that are bringing something to the table that is interesting for the consumer for whatever reason, and that attracts the consumer to their mediums, their website, their app, or their social media profile, whatever it is. And it to me, to this day, the one constant throughout this period is the exciting, innovative opportunities that are emerging through those publishers that are so different from your other marketing channels.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree with that.
And so you mentioned that it's kind of shifted from more of a B2C to now including B2B. And what are the main differences you see in the strategy of a B2C affiliate marketing versus a B2B affiliate marketing?
Sure. So I think that the core principles are the same. I think that the acquisition is quite often different. A lot of B2B companies are usually acquiring customers, more long-term customers, right? Like you will acquire somebody for a 1-year subscription or the software license and a long-term relationship. So whilst a B2C company might want to sell you a t-shirt every 3 weeks, right? Like, so there's like differences in that, in the way it's approached. And I think what's really important there is that and from my perspective as a platform who provides technology to help you run a program like this, it needs to be built to let you cater for these different use cases. What you're looking at as a B2B company are acquiring somebody rather than selling them something quickly every few weeks. The approach is slightly different, but you also require different insights into your program. You require different tools on managing that effective effectively. And I think that that's kind of one of the first differences. And the other big difference is in the publisher landscape. So the partner landscape in the B2B side is quite often includes traditional media companies. It includes more of the product review sites that are also existing in the B2B in the B2B world, but they're completely different providers and they'll have different focus areas. Quite often the B2C area also includes rewards-based programs, like I might earn some points for making a purchase from a certain retailer. That is less common in the B2C arena.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would add that, a big difference that I see from B2C to B2B is obviously, and you touched some part of this already, Florian, is about the customer journey, right? Like it's different. You have to look into lifetime value of these customers. It's recurring. Most of the time we're talking about subscription-based products. And this has changed even throughout the time. If you look with the proliferation of product-led products, self-serve products, however you want to call it, self-serve has changed a little bit the landscape, because if you think about how people would buy software a couple of years ago, I'll give you an example. If you were buying an ERP for your company, most likely this was on-prem and it was not cloud-based. So you would be heavily reliant on companies that would actually go there, install the product. You would not self-serve the solution. So this would encompass not only the relationship with the provider itself, but also with networks of implementation partners and agencies that would support that implementation. So it was a long journey, right? Like this. The way that affiliate marketing is now fitting into the modern customer journey of how you buy software, how you test it, it's self-serve. So you basically are pushed as a user inside the product. It's kind of natural fit to how most of the affiliate partners actually promote your product via their websites. Either it's a review or any content that you're publishing on a social media platform like YouTube, or you're running posts on LinkedIn, whatever the medium is that you explore. The path of the click to actually be inside the product has changed a lot. So I would say that it was the perfect marriage. How also the software industry has evolved was the perfect fit to how affiliate marketing can actually support that motion, so to say. And obviously, like you said, it's not like buying a t-shirt here and then. You have a lot of metrics and a lot of touch points that need to be thought out, to be mapped out, to actually be part of your program when you're building it, to ensure that you're compensating partners for the correct actions and all that structural part. Yeah.
So basically, as the SaaS industry has evolved, it has evolved to better suit affiliate marketing. So
I would say it was a natural. I don't know if you agree with this, Florian. It's like it's my opinion over this. Like, I feel that as the software industry evolved, it's kind of like a natural flow of how affiliate marketing is done. Which, if you think about like back in the days, you could do a review, but maybe what someone would click there would end up in a contact form, a rep from some company would start contacting you, and that would probably take 6 months, 9 months to have that deal actually closed, implemented. It was a different journey, right? It's a totally different journey. And I think this change also from a technical perspective and of how the software industry has evolved, opened up the floor for affiliate partners to actually play a very important role and a very impactful role on this scalability.
I 100% agree with you. Also, buying behaviors have changed both in B2B and B2C, but very few of us today just go and buy something after a conversation with a salesperson, right? Like, we all go and we look at reviews, we look at we look at different input. We maybe want input from other users that are using the software that are buying. And in all of those areas, affiliate marketing in particular is a helpful tool in assisting on that customer journey.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually something that Paulo always says to me is like, people buy from people. And this is exactly how it fits in. So how have you seen the consumer journey, let's just dig into it a little bit more, has changed and how this is very fitting to an affiliate marketing strategy. And let's talk specifically about B2B SaaS.
Of course. So I think particularly, like, it applies anywhere, but we buy differently today in a business environment. Like you said, years ago, you would have phoned somebody up, booked a meeting, they would come to your premises, they would probably deliver a presentation, you will go away and review a number of providers, you then make up your mind on the price and you buy from there. Today, we are looking for much more input than that. And we're usually looking for input that is not necessarily from the company that we're buying from. Mm-hmm. And particularly in the B2B area, there are fantastic review websites out there. There are specialists available in the influencer arena that are providing user reviews. They're providing comparisons like independent comparisons of those different platforms, of the advantages, of the benefits. You will find industry specialists that might have YouTube channels, or they might have profiles on LinkedIn where they're making recommendations of platforms that they are using themselves. And even as business buyers, we are looking to find those kind of additional touch points and data points so that we can make a more informed decision. And that is what's changed. I think there's also so many more touch points now before you buy something until you actually get to your final decision. In most cases, for a considered purchase. I mean, if I'm buying a $3 a month license, I might not do that much review. But typically in B2B software licenses, they're usually it's not just that they're an investment, an upfront investment. Also, if you choose the wrong software for your business, it usually sets you back, right? Like, so it's not an unimportant decision. So you are looking to make sure that you are getting that right. And the ability that we have today to get so much more input and compare it is fantastic, but it also is really helpful for the software advertiser that is trying to sell their software to align themselves with independent creators and websites who will create content specifically for their audience and for an audience that is most likely also to trust their opinion.
Yeah, and totally agree with you. So what I feel is, I'll talk from, I'll give my personal example on this. So I hardly buy anything if I'm like considering buying a product. Most of the time, I hardly read or go very deep into what actually the provider itself has on their website. So my first instinct will probably, search here and there. Maybe I'll go into YouTube, see some videos, read some comments, and deep dive into that. So it's all about meeting the people where they actually go learn, right? Like, I think that's what truly changed. It's how most of all of us actually buy nowadays, because we have access to a multitude of channels and we consume content from on our smartphone, on our laptop, on YouTube, and video is obviously fast growing throughout, the last couple of times. So it's easily digestible. You can have access to the information faster that, having to search for a website, get that information. You just type it on YouTube and it pops out some creators that are already creating that content around what you're looking for. And I feel that it's more trustworthy, right? Like, they're the experts that people see them as experts when you're in your buying journey. And I think we're all caught up in the thing that we all look at the vendor as in some biased way, because we're typically bombarded with sales pitch for years and years and years when we were trying to buy something. And I think people try to run away a little bit from that. So I think it's a big advantage for brands to not only partner up with these partners to meet the buyer where they actually go and learn about their products, where the demand is, extends way just from the partner, the vendor website nowadays, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit across a multitude of channels. And the studies are there, right? Like we were discussing this, like 2 out of 4 people actually don't trust the vendors itself, right? Like they rather, and they prefer
They don't
to
trust salespeople, right? Like there's a real, and I mean, I'm a salesperson myself. It's a really difficult thing to digest, but it's true, right? Like the most people don't trust salespeople.
Yeah. And they like what you're saying. I saw some numbers somewhere, like there was like almost like 90% of the people buying software, they actually want to read reviews from independent websites. And to your point, there's a lot of really, really good media partners out there with some really great content. And that, I just want to get a note here on this, because I think we need to also give the partner perspective on it. Like these like these review sites, even YouTube creators that are creating content about software, they are very concerned about the quality of their content. So for those of you out there that are kind of thinking, okay, but this is kind of like, okay, if this is affiliate, they're being compensated, but they have an interest in like talking good things about your product. Okay, it's true to some extent, but they all of them have very concerned, they are very concerned about if your product is actually really good, if people actually got to buy it, and the quality of the services that you provide. So if you're working with obviously the correct partners and the correct publishers, they will be, only interested in showcasing products that they actually do believe they are good for their audience, because they know if they are like selling something that is not actually true for the people that follow their content, it's going to drag down their business, because that's
they will lose their audience really quickly.
They will lose their audience.
Like that's I think
exactly.
And there's an authenticity element in that also these creators, if you can more often than not, you can tell if they're not believing it themselves, right? Like if this is just a sell, but also they have built their audience and their following for a reason, and that's usually because that audience trusts them, and they're more like it's very unusual for them to try to proactively destroy that trust purely for financial gain. They will lose it very quickly. And I think the vast majority of companies operating in that space are more concerned with the value that they're providing to their audience, because that is what helps them grow their business. And if they're not providing value, like you say, their business is going to stagnate or reduce very quickly.
Yeah. And I think this is actually like even more, especially in the B2B SaaS space, because like, for example, Paulo and I have been working with some creators and we've been reaching out to them and basically like, okay, like let's pay you for some content. And they're really like, we're not sure if we want to do this. Let us think about it. We need to create value for our audience. It has to be authentic. Like people are really considering this. And I think that really ties into what brands can do for their audience, is creating this more like authentic and trustworthy consumer journey, where it's like, well, don't take it from us, take it from someone that you trust, that is actually concerned about whether they're giving you the correct facts, proper advice. And then also just going back to so we've spoken a lot about the consumer journey and why it's important for brands to consider this. But the other thing that brands need to think about when thinking about starting an affiliate marketing program is the other business benefits of it, right? So not just meeting your customers where they are, creating this more authentic experience, which is extremely important. But the other thing, and especially in SaaS at the moment, is acquiring customers is becoming more and more expensive, right? And this is impacted by paid media and advertising. So what are the other reasons, like the business benefits, that brands should look into when adding affiliate marketing as a value add in their overall marketing strategy? Sure.
So I think there are a couple of different ways of approaching that, but I think I would start with with how most mature companies, particularly in the B2B space, and there's such like HubSpot and Shopify are all operating these partner programs. And if you talk to mature companies in this space today, you get a very interesting response. And I think the traditional response is, if you ask somebody, how do you grow your business? Most people will say sales and marketing. If you're talking to mature companies in this space today, they see partnership marketing as the third pillar of their business growth. They say they typically look at sales, marketing, and partnerships, and it is a different type of channel. And I think they all work together, right? Like there's not a one. There's an accelerator to being to using different approaches in your go-to-market approach, and I think we've done some really interesting research. Impact.com commissioned a study with Forrester Consulting, where Forrester interviewed over 400 companies and their approach to partnership marketing, and 77% of those companies consider partnership marketing critical to achieving their business objectives and their revenue objectives. So anyone considering this isn't alone in this thinking today, first of all. I would think the other kind of interesting elements that are coming out of this research is companies who are adding a mature partnership strategy to their growth plans. They're also typically growing twice as fast as their peers. And they're usually, and we see this in our customer base, they're driving a high degree of their customer acquisition from this channel. Up to 25% of revenue is often generated from the affiliate channel or from the partnerships channel. This is all out of the Forrester report, so I'm not just making these numbers up. It's available on the impact.com. It's available on the impact.com website if anyone is interested. And the payback, the return of investment from the affiliate channel is typically significantly better than any of the other channels. But like all channels, I think you have to remember that there is most companies, let's talk about startups today, right? Like the first place most startups will go is probably some search engine marketing strategy. I think with that, as you grow, is you often start plateauing. It becomes more expensive. You then go to Meta or LinkedIn or wherever, also relatively expensive. Sure, you can generate more, but you have to spend more. So kind of diversifying the approach of channels here with partnership marketing isn't just a way to keep acquisition costs under control. It is also an additional way of continuing to grow without leveling out too quickly.
Yeah, good you brought that up of the startups. My take on it is that, like, I think affiliate marketing, first of all, I don't think that if you're launching a startup, if you're looking into this, you should never look into affiliates as a playground to test your marketing strategy.
Right.
First of all, okay? So, because that will backfire on you really fast. So if you want to invest in working with affiliate partners and affiliate marketing, you should do it once you've reached some level of maturity while testing other, you talked about like paid social, search engines. There's a multitude of traditional acquisition channels that brands explore, and you should do it first, also to gain more knowledge of, what works and what doesn't work from traditional channels. And, you'll gain some benchmarks that you can then bring to the table when you start looking into partnering with affiliate marketing partnerships as an addition to that, because you will have some points of comparisons. Keep in mind that when you're doing affiliate marketing, you're working with partners. They take this seriously, right? That's their business. They will be running campaigns for you, and they want to have high performance. And they don't want to feel that they're just being tasked because you haven't figured out your messaging or your positioning or what works and what doesn't work. So you're using them as a vehicle for that. So that can go wrong. So I would say that, to embrace this strategy, you do need to have at least some minimum level of, marketing activities going on in your company. So you can, it's like the cherry on top of the cake, basically. So that's, I would just like to give this shout out, because I think this is something important. And this is where I see some companies actually kind of like failing on how to actually deploy a proper strategy of working with affiliates. It's because they're tackling it from that angle. Okay, let's get them to do some stuff talking about our brand, and then okay, if this doesn't work, like okay, but that will impact their income and their performance from their own campaigns, and they don't want to be tested. Like they and you'll lose credibility also throughout the market, right? Like, think about it. This is a small. It's a big market, but everyone knows each other. Everyone, and if you want to have a good reputation, if you want to work with the best partners out there, make sure that you are on a good set, on a good trajectory to make them successful. Not use them as testing partners.
Yeah, and I think the same but different approach really helps, right? Like I think it is ultimately it's an acquisition channel, so that's what you're there to do. But in paid social or paid search, it is just you as a brand conveying a message. Right. One of the great advantages of affiliate marketing and having creators within that channel is it on search and social, it can become very expensive or also very tricky to tap into niche audiences. And quite often that is what you do in B2B marketing. So if you have somebody who has a following of a certain segment of an industry that you're trying to tap into, you also want that person to create content for you rather than you creating the content, because they know their audience. They have a subject matter expertise. So they're often much better qualified to create compelling and interesting content for their audience that is then coming to your website, becoming a customer. It's a much more it's a much more authentic way of engaging with a niche audience, and that is not often easy when you're trying to do it on search, or it can be very expensive.
Yeah, exactly. You want to give the creators the freedom. They understand their audience. They know who they're talking to, and they're the best placed to know what they should be saying and how they should be presenting it. But then also back to your point, Paulo, is like they're not your marketing team and they shouldn't be coming up with your marketing strategy. And I think something that's really key, especially in B2B SaaS, is it's depending on what your product is, it can be extremely niche, right? And then there are only a handful of affiliates who are really big ones that everyone really trusts, and they can take their pick. They can say, well, I don't want to work with you. You haven't figured out your marketing messaging. I'll go and work with your competitor, or you don't have a lot of brand recognition or brand value, and I don't want to associate myself with your brand. So I think it's like this balance of you need to have it figured out for yourself first, but then you also need to give your affiliates the freedom to be creative and do what they are best at.
I think well, they are not definitely your marketing team, but they can be seen as an extension to somehow of your marketing engine. But that's when I would say a great balance comes into place of, you need to make sure that there are some details that need to be carried through the message that they provide to the audience, but you want to give them the leeway and the freedom itself, but the space to create the message and to cater that message in a way that is unique to their own style and that makes sense to their audience, and not trying to kind of like replicate your own brand identity, or because otherwise you'll be just like putting your brand in front like with their shirt, right?
Yeah.
So it's I think it's something that we need to be very thoughtful when we're working, especially with content creators. I think they are, and you were mentioning this a little bit before, Bethany, they are very concerned about how genuine the content is for their audience. So,
rightfully so.
And rightfully so, correct? Because it's their content, it's the audience that they've built, and they they will lose identity and it will be as much successful as keeping the same flow that actually made them reach that point. So I think if anyone working with creators and influencers and managing these types of programs, I think it's important that we respect that, and that we make sure that we within what we can, we give them the freedom and the leeway needed to that content to be created in the way that is unique for them.
Yeah.
And I also think you don't have to give up all control, right? Like, but I think it's good to remind ourselves that we work in the partnership marketing channel, right? Like, and it is exactly that, is a partnership to work together to bring something to that audience that is valuable. And if it's valuable, that audience will then become a customer.
At the end of the day, it's a relationship strategy, right? It's a relationship channel. You cannot do it effectively without that component, right? So you make sure that you sit with your partners, they understand correctly, you can work with them, right? Like to what you're saying. But yeah.
Yeah. Florian, back to what you were saying that with the Forrester study that you did, and Brand saying that there are 3 key pillars were sales, marketing, and partnerships. I think that's what you said. I'm sorry if I'm misquoting you. So brands have many channels that they can go through as part of their go-to-market strategy. So what recommendations would you give brands to stay competitive in this dynamic marketing landscape?
Yeah, so I think Paulo alluded to this already earlier. I think the first thing is don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Right, like it is good to have a balanced and distributed approach to your acquisition strategies, but then there is also it's important to have the right measurement of the different channels. It's also really important to understand what each different marketing channel or sales or what your sales strategy is bringing to the table. All parts of the machine are contributing to the ultimate outcome, and being able to understand what they all contribute is really critically important, because only then are you able to really align your spend with where the value is being created, and that is a really important understanding, particularly in the slightly longer kind of decision making cycle environment, as is typical in B2B marketing. I think other elements of staying competitive is, and of course I will say that, right? Like, but being able to, you got to provide a platform for your partners to work on that is user friendly, but more importantly, that is also very reliable when it comes to tracking. It's paid on performance, right? Like, so the performance measurement is very critically important to being able to accurately reward your partners for their efforts, and being able to point to a reliable and trustworthy technology that you're using to facilitate your affiliate or partnership program is actually a really good way to differentiate yourself to start with. Because partners trust it, they know they get paid accurately, they get paid on time. I think very important in that regard. I think the third part is also being able to customize your commission and your reward specifically to the type of partner you're working with. They all bring different, they don't just bring different audiences, they also bring this audience to different stages, right? Like some of them may be better at bringing customers to you at the consideration cycle. They're then less likely to be rewarded when they're when it comes to the final sale. Being able to understand that allows you to create commission structures or reward models that value the contribution that those partners are making. You might find partners where you have insights, where your insights are telling you that partner is typically bringing me maybe not a lot of customers, but very high value customers. Understanding that and being able to tailor your approach to that partner will allow you to remain very competitive versus somebody who does not have that insight, for example.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think I would sum it up in one word, which is flexibility, right? I think, and I've seen this in the past, and maybe I've worked in the past in programs that we didn't have that view at the time, and then we realized later on that we should be doing this. But like flexibility is something very important. And to your point, Florian, partners will operate at different stages of the customer journey and the sales funnel, right? And most likely they will require different compensation methods. So you need to be prepared and equipped to negotiate with these partners and cater, custom agreements that maybe, hybrid models. You may have default terms for your program, but for some partners, this will not be the correct option for them for several reasons. So you need to be prepared and equipped to handle these negotiations and have this flexibility to actually roll out these custom agreements with partners. And that, the tool like Impact, for instance, comes into place where you can have these types of setups and you can operationalize this in a very seamless way. But I think that's something that I've seen in the past, even some brands failing on that, not understanding that and trying to funnel everyone for, we just do, rev share commission model and you have to fit into this. If you have that sort of narrow view on how you interact with these partners, you will be missing out on potentially some of the largest opportunities out there in the market for your program. But
you're probably also allowing space for your competitor to take that.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Someone is doing. If you're not doing it, believe me, someone is, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, I totally agree with you. So having a constant data-driven mindset, this is again relationship channel. Okay, everything cool, but we need to be constantly measuring and looking into the data that is coming out of our program, that the performance that our partners are generating. And I would say, and to this topic in general, like you need to have a good grip on your unit economics, right? You need to understand your business. You need to understand your unit economics if you want to lay down the proper foundations of the program and to make it successful. If you don't fully understand your business and the unit economics of your businesses, it will be very hard for you to actually build a program and setting it for success because it's a little bit unknown, right? You're building something out of probably unrealistic data or assumptions that you may have from your business, and that's not what we want, obviously. That's it.
So something you guys mentioned, both of you mentioned, was that different partners bring customers in at different consideration stages of the journey. So something that I'd like to talk about a little bit is attribution. So if you have a customer going through multiple marketing channels and having multiple different touch points, like how does that work with attribution? How have you seen this work in previous programs, and how do you think it's evolved over time?
Yeah, very good question. So I think the first thing to say about attribution, it doesn't always tell the full story, right? Like I think it is one part of how you analyze and understand your general marketing activity. I think the second part that's really important is to make sure that I think from my perspective that B2B advertisers differentiate, first of all, their full online attribution. So what's coming from your email, your search, your partnerships channel, but that doesn't often tell you what's happening within the partnerships channel. And within the attribution within the partnerships channel is just as important, because you will have different types of partners working that fall into very different purchasing stages, and having the insights at the partner level or the partner category level in where those partners are bringing audiences to you and where they then sit in that funnel really helps you to understand and optimize. So I think, like I said, first part, it's not, don't base everything on attribution, first of all. And secondly, if you really want to be smart about attribution, think about it as total marketing, and then within the partnership channel, understand the different partner types and how they're contributing towards your sale.
Yeah. I agree with, and I would add that regardless of how you're measuring internally, I think one thing that is important, that I would just add this up as a last note on this topic, is that I feel that you need to be careful on not putting the partners and the affiliates in the position that they're running against your own marketing engine, right? Like, so regardless of the touch points that nowadays you have, and there are, multitude of touch points, because a quick example. I went to a site, review product. I clicked on a link. Actually, it was an affiliate link. So I will land up on the software side, and maybe I sign up for a free trial. Why not? It looks interesting. And then I start getting emails, and then I get retargeted, and then I get, a bunch of marketing activities that are being run by that company. And if you put the affiliate partners in the position that they're, that sign up is competing against them. So you need to kind of split your own internal attribution from what you're attributing partners, right? And obviously, with tools like Impact, you can have like last click attribution, where you have, the last click from an affiliate link will actually get that client in as a referral. But I think just to make sure that don't put them in a position that they are competing against your own internal channels, because that will be hard for them, and to keep partners motivated with that. So you can track those that internal flow. If they check your emails, if they sign up for a webinar, if they downloaded an ebook, all of that can be measured, because that's part of the big journey. But if on any stage of that journey, that specific customer was influenced by an affiliate partner, that partner theoretically should be rewarded for that. But that's my kind of like my take on this.
Yeah, and data really helps here, right? Like I think if you have insight, if you have good insights into attribution, even at a partner level, and you're able to identify affiliates or partners that are very regularly referring you audiences at the first touch point, right? Like this, that this new customer has never interacted with your marketing channels before, according to your attribution. But because they're introducing, there will be other touch points afterwards. So that partner that has referred you that business is never going to get paid, or very rarely gets paid. Being able to have the data and the insights to understand that then allows you to optimize that, because it is valuable. This referral is very valuable. So the partner should be rewarded for that. If you have the right data, you can then go and understand and identify those that are driving a certain value, and the different value touch points throughout the funnel. You can identify those, and then, like you said, partner, you can be flexible, and you can then figure out ways of optimizing the reward for those partners, so that you continue to acquire those new customers from that first touch point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is incrementality. So this is something we've heard people talking about quite a bit, and I'd love to hear your thoughts around it. So how can brands ensure that they are bringing in customers and booking revenue that they wouldn't otherwise tap into if they hadn't started their affiliate marketing strategy?
Yeah, so incrementality is very unique depending on the product that's sold, the business that is selling it. And I've seen many incrementality studies over the year, and there's no two businesses that you can go and say it's the same. It's very rarely. Every business has a different type of approach to sales, to marketing, to their advertising, and it really changes what incrementality looks like. But then I think the most important thing when we're talking about incrementality is to not just think about as would I have acquired that customer anyway. Right? Because that is not necessarily true. We talked earlier on how many more touch points are involved today in acquiring customers. So to expect something to be purely incremental because only that person only went to an affiliate and then came and immediately bought my product, right? Like in more often cases, that's unrealistic. So I think that's the first thing to kind of really bear in mind when trying to understand incrementality. And then the second part is what then you kind of go into, okay, well, how do I figure out what is incremental? And there's so many different ways of how you can think about that, because incrementality doesn't just come from the number of sales. Incrementality can also come from partners that are, like I said earlier, that are very regularly referring high purchase customers, right? Like that is incremental. Being able to tap into buyers that are spending more is most certainly delivering an element of incrementality. Or you may find partners, if you're looking at attribution journeys, you may find partners that if they're in that customer journey, that their journey is actually much shorter than your average. So being able to acquire a customer faster than you usually do because they're partner in the journey could also be considered incremental. Right, you're probably spending less if there are fewer touch points. You're also acquiring the revenue faster. All of that is valuable and incremental. So I think incrementality is really important to think about the different aspects of what can be considered incremental.
Yeah. And again, like we not gonna add, like I think you need to understand, first of all, what incrementality means for your company, for your business in particularly, like to your point, and maybe understand if on other strategies and channels that you're currently operating, what does that incrementality also means there? And if you tested it and what are you seeing from other strategies that you're pursuing? And we kind of like also end up in the same thing, which is you need to have good measurement in place. And this is all about the data and looking at the data. You make cluster partners, looking at their behavior. Like there's a couple of strategies that you can implement on your program to kind of like assess this. But first things first, you need to understand what this means, what incrementality means in your company, in your business, and in your product in particular. And then you need to have the proper data, the data strategy in place so you can measure and assess the performance of your partners throughout a specific period of time to see how like to your point. But like, again, not anything to add to what you said, Florian. I think you were pretty much on point to this.
Great. And the next thing I want to talk about is we've spoken about data a lot and tracking a lot. And interestingly enough, based on what our company does, I would like to talk about how data privacy regulations have affected affiliate programs. Have they affected affiliate programs? Is it something that we need to be concerned about? Do people not want to be tracked? Can we still provide the same value to our affiliate partners in these regulations, right? They're not going anywhere. They're going to get stricter and stricter. So I'd love to hear your opinion on that.
I can start. So I think, first of all, we've all seen that the changes that are happening, right, like across globally in terms of data privacy regulations and within our space. Obviously, this is something that we are very familiar with here at Usercentrics, and how this is somehow connected to this whole conversation that we're having. First of all, I think that from a technology standpoint, nowadays we're a way better point in time compared to what we were having like a couple of years ago, because obviously, platforms like Impact also adapt to the changes and are creating ways to help brands leverage affiliate marketing strategies in a compliant way. So you are not only reliant and dependent on actually third-party cookies, which is how traditional tracking has been done throughout the time, right? Typically, there's a JavaScript, there's a pixel on a website, and depending on whether or not the person visiting the website accepts or denies the consent for cookies and trackers, that pixel is fired. But nowadays you have, server to server tracking. There's a lot of technologies in place that brands can leverage to actually deploy these programs effectively and still meet compliance with data privacy regulations, building trust with users, making this transparent and with clarity for people visiting their website. And again, no consent doesn't mean that there's no data nowadays. And you can still track and measure your program in different ways. But I think Florian here would be will have more insights on this side too, since Impact is one of the leading platforms that are providing technology for this nowadays.
Well, I think privacy is a fundamental right, and it has to be respected. And I think in online marketing, particularly in advertising, profiling customers by acquiring their purchasing behaviors, etc., through online tracking is one of the things where all of this started, really, where people said, I don't want that. leave my data alone, right? Like, so from an impact.com perspective, the great thing about affiliate marketing is that it's very privacy friendly in the first place. We don't need to, there's no PII required for us to understand whatever happens to the ultimate purchase. We're not in the business of buying and selling data either about those customers. We're a SaaS platform that is purely designed to report on performance of affiliate marketing programs. That does not require profiling or personal data. So that's kind of the first part, the thing that's important. And the second one is being able to kind of exclude PII from our tracking processes allows us to be much more accurate, right? Like we don't need to know what else you bought, which other websites you visited, how long you've been to any of those visits, to any of those other places. So the privacy impact of a SaaS platform, the impact.com SaaS platform, is really minimal. Also, then allowing for accuracy within that tracking. Secondly, as a SaaS platform, it's our core business to deliver accurate tracking. So we really are at the forefront all the time on how the landscape changes and what we have to do to make sure that our implementations aren't just privacy friendly, but also still continue to deliver the accuracy that is required to reward partners fairly.
Great. So we don't need to worry about anything, right?
I wouldn't go that far. I think when worry is kind of the wrong way. I think everybody who works in a marketing function today has to be a little bit of a privacy expert. And I think it's a core requirement of the roles that we're working in. Whether you're an affiliate marketer or searcher, you're in a senior role, you do have to have a really solid understanding of privacy requirements, what they mean within technology, what are the different technologies within that. It's not difficult, doesn't take a lot of time, but it makes people's jobs so much easier if they have a good understanding.
Yeah.
Like we're literally living what we like to call the privacy-led marketing era, right? Because this is the way that marketing is being done nowadays is changing, right? Like obviously affiliates is part of if we look at it from a wider perspective, right? Affiliates is a part of it, but there are other marketing strategies and that they're deployed that are encompassed within this privacy-led topic. But the fact that we had a study last year, very interesting, and this is public information. You can see that the number of claims are increasing, right? Like I think overall, people are more awakened, more aware of the regulations and the rights that we all have from a privacy standpoint, and actually. We noticed, and the numbers that we see even from our consent data is that people start to actually dig deeper into, okay, so what am I consenting to? Who are the entities collecting this information? What is the purpose that they're using it? And if they feel that there's some sort of infringement or unclarity, because you can be transparent to actually state all of the companies that are actually accessing your data. So transparency is one thing, clarity is another one, right? Like, because the way that you explain the purpose and why is it used is a different conversation. So we have transparency and clarity, which are two different topics here. And then when people feel that they're not being obviously respected, these claims are increasing. And what we see, data privacy authorities increasing their enforcement. But this study that we did actually was interesting because it was heavily focused on SMB here in Europe. And the results were pretty interesting because GDPR is more than ever a conversation at a board level and on a lot of these companies. So these brands are awakened that they need to pursue compliant data collection practices if they're running their campaigns. But a lot of the times these brands they need help to actually implement these strategies. And that's where I kind of see this whole, partnership ecosystem taking into place and, making sure that these businesses are set to success to not only, meet compliance, but to deploy it in the correct way and building proper strategies for their businesses. So it's like everything works together to make this happen. So, we're like us here at Usercentrics, we're a big part of this process. Technology in general, impact here for the affiliate context in particular is playing a big role on that. So we have the technology, then we have the partners. They can be agencies, they can be thought creators that are, putting out content, helping, guiding, educating, creating the necessary content to the market to help these business owners and these companies be successful with these strategies. So it's been interesting, and we nowadays see that there's a lot of brands that are currently selling their products to the marketing under the privacy flag. There's a very well-known brand, which I will not quote, that has a fruit as a logo. They run advertising for their products based on privacy, that they respect their users. So I think all in all, I this is a thing that I really like, this marriage of building trust, transparency, clarity. I think this is something that fits also very natural with the affiliate marketing space, because what these partners do actually is building this trust also. So it's funny, it's a coincidence, because I think it's a nice marriage.
That's exactly 100%. What I was going to say. If you think about how many times during this episode we've said the word trust, it's about building trust. Why do we work with affiliates? Because they are the trusted voice. And we've spoken about building trust, I think, continuously throughout that. And then you don't want to drop the ball at the last stage, which is like, are you respecting your users' privacy? You're implementing these programs, you need to track this, that, the other. But do we need their personal information? No. So let's not collect it. And it's all about, at the end of the day, trust. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. We are a tiny bit over time, but I think it would still be great to leave our listeners with what other suggestions you would give someone starting an affiliate marketing program.
Okay, I'll keep this really brief. First of all, it's a highly networked industry. So find ways of going out there, meeting your peers, meeting partners. If you are working with partners, find ways of meeting them regularly. You will be differentiating yourselves from anyone else in that space. You'll continue to learn. You'll get introductions to new partners. It's a great way of getting into the industry, but also really growing a partnership program. Second, educate yourself. I think there's a lot of learning out there. It can be overwhelming if you look at it at the beginning. It doesn't have to be. Impact.com publishes a free learning portal under pxa.impact.com with hundreds of courses on every single topic that you might think of, available for free. It's independent of impact.com, so it's applicable to anyone working in the partnership industry, not just with our company. You will find a lot of very interesting content. So go and find those resources. I think those will be my two top recommendations.
Yeah, I would say yes. Education, yes, you need to, I think if you want to embrace this as a career path, and I'll speak for myself, when I started working on this, there was no, there were not specific communities or platforms out there. There were not much out there in the market that I could tap into to learn and to get information from. And I think that's changed, specifically in the partnership space. There's right now there's a lot of Slack communities, forums. There's a lot of content on LinkedIn. There's a lot of content even on YouTube. So it's a little bit scattered, but it's out there, so you can on-demand search it. Like PXA is a great example. You have very condensated and well-structured courses for you to learn. So I would say that this is something that nowadays I would love to have this when I started, working on this, because it just didn't exist. So it took me a little bit more time to catch up with the pace and learn this stuff. Most of the time from trial and error, but I would say that, educate yourself and yeah, connect. So it's, again, I can't stress this enough. This is a relationship channel. So be with your partners, talk to them regularly, meet them. I think this is how it goes, right? You need to be there. It's people to people, right? This is, and that's how it goes. You cannot treat it just as a mere, acquisition or transactional channel, the faceless transactional channel. There's people on the other side of the line. So make sure you connect. It's also
a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're having fun here.
I think we can end it like that. It's a lot of fun. All right. Thank you, Florian. Thank you, Paulo. So great to have you on here. And tune in next time to the next episode of Consented.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.